A very warm welcome to everyone. I'm Sister Cindy Null from HART Fertility Clinic here in Christian Barnard on Cape Town's foreshore. We're a full-fledged fertility clinic offering all treatments from artificial insemination, IVF, and surrogacy. Today we're going to be speaking about egg donors and what donating your eggs entails. If you have any questions, please feel free to place them in the comment section. You can direct message us or you can contact us on the WhatsApp line, and that number is in the description. In this installment of the HART Fertility Diaries, we will be chatting with Kinny, who works as an egg donation coordinator, our very own, where she balances her care for the egg donor while ensuring the best chance of success for her recipients undergoing treatment. Welcome, Kinny. Can you let our audience know a little bit more about yourself?
Hi, Cindy, and hello to everyone. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited to talk to potential egg donors and existing donors as well. So as you said, I'm the egg donation coordinator for HART and EDSA. I've been doing this for, I think, 10, 11 years now. And my role is really to manage the care and support of an egg donor during her time with us, donating her eggs.
Great. Okay, so I think let's start right at the beginning. Can you tell us what is an egg donor?
An egg donor is a young, healthy woman who donates her eggs to someone who needs them, and people need egg donors for different reasons.
Okay, all right. And then, so this sounds like quite a process in terms of actually being the egg donor.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm interested and I'm wondering if I could possibly be an egg donor, what would the requirements be, or who could sign up to be a donor?
So to be a first-time donor, you need to be between the ages of 19 and 29. You should be healthy. We'd want you to have a healthy BMI, so between 18 and 30. The BMI isn't about aesthetics and looks. It's about the health of your body and how you would respond to the medication. If you are overweight, we would need to give you, or the doctor would need to give you more medication. And it also affects how you respond to the anesthetic given for your egg retrieval. So you should be between the ages of 19 and 29, have a healthy BMI, and we also need you to not have a family history of either bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
Okay, all right. And then if I do decide to sign up as a donor, or if I meet those requirements, who will be getting my eggs?
So people need eggs for different reasons. Some people have perhaps gone through chemotherapy in their cancer treatment, and chemotherapy does affect the follicles or ovaries, the proper functioning of healthy eggs. So people who've gone through chemotherapy may need your eggs. What we're also seeing more of in today's society is women are waiting until later in life to have children. So it's not uncommon for a woman to have her first baby in her late 30s or early 40s, because we are studying after high school and traveling and waiting to meet the right partner. So that's another reason is what in medical terms the doctor would call advanced maternal age, which is not really old. It's someone in their 30s could fit the criteria for egg donation. Some people have certain genetic disorders that run in their family that would be detrimental to their child if they were to use their own eggs. So they need to go for egg donation or use an egg donor. And then, of course, some members of the LGBT community need to use an egg donor in order to realize their dreams of a family. So a gay men would use an egg donor and as well as a surrogate. So there are many different reasons. And for people who are needing an egg donor for medical reasons. A lot of, I would say the average time that a couple or a person walks a fertility journey is about 3 to 5 years. So it's a long journey filled with disappointments and sometimes false starts and loss or losses. So being an egg donor, you are at the light at the end of a very long and difficult tunnel. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to gift someone in need.
Definitely, I do agree. I think it's almost like the most heartfelt gift that someone could give somebody else in that position.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. So if I'm a donor, I've now signed up. There is somebody who needs my eggs. How many eggs do they take? I mean, aren't we born with a certain amount of eggs?
Yes, so we're born with an average of plus minus 500,000 eggs. And, from the time you are very small, your body starts releasing those eggs from your ovarian reserve. And certainly into puberty, when you start menstruating. So every month, your body releases a certain amount of eggs. And if those eggs aren't used, they are flushed away with your monthly period. So the eggs that the doctor collects or that you donate in that particular month are eggs that would have been not used or flushed away with your period. So those are the eggs that you donate, so that the following month your body will then release a new set of eggs to be used or not used to fall pregnant. So in terms of number, it differs from person to person, much like how thick or thin your hair is, differs from person to person. The average number, it could be anything between, some people produce 4 eggs or 5 eggs, and some people can produce as many as 20 or 30. So the number is not so much important as the quality of the eggs. Because you only really need a very, very small number, maybe even one number to fall pregnant. So those are the eggs that the doctor retrieves from you. And I would say the average would be about 12 eggs for each time you donate.
Okay. And yes, we get many of those one egg wonders. So definitely the quality is definitely above the quantity. Yeah. And okay, so now that you've taken some of my eggs, will that influence my fertility at the end of the day? Or would I still be able to fall pregnant later?
No, so egg donation doesn't affect your future fertility. In fact, I would say being an egg donor, it's an opportunity. Obviously, that's not the primary reason. The primary reason for donating your eggs is to assist someone with having their own baby. But in the process of donating your eggs, there's an opportunity for you to find out what your own reproductive health status is. So through the scans that you attend with the doctor and the various tests that you go for, you will find out what your fertility status is and just be more keyed in terms of your own family planning. We have donors who started off donating with us before they had children, then they took some time off to have their children or their child, then come back to donating. So no, donating your eggs doesn't affect your own future fertility. If anything, it gives you it's a status update on where you stand. And just really opens up a young woman to understanding how her body works and how, or especially your reproductive system.
Okay, and all right. So I think now that I'm ready to go, how do I get started as a donor?
So
what would be my first point of call?
So the first step is obviously to contact us. And then I would contact you to ask a few questions and answer any preliminary questions you may have. then the next step would be for me to meet with you to chat about the process and explain exactly what's involved from start to finish. And if we're meeting at our clinic, then you'd have a chance to see what our clinic looks like and to meet some of our staff. Then we'd fill in an application form. The application form is really to get a feel for what kind of person you are, your interests, some of your qualities, your medical history, as well as of course your family medical history, and your educational background and that kind of thing. That information is used to draw up a profile for you. So that is the primary step, is to contact us and meet with me, or have a Zoom call with me, because at the moment we are obviously dealing with COVID-19. So if you prefer to have a Zoom call, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Okay. All right, great. Kinny, there's just a question that came through on part of the WhatsApp, on Facebook. And we have touched on it, but if you could just clarify, at what age can one become a donor?
So at 19, you can become a donor with us.
All right, okay. And then you did mention the upper limit is 29.
It's 29, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, all right. So once the process has been initiated, I've completed my profile, I've met with you, you've answered a couple of my questions, and my profile gets, created and all of that. How am I chosen as a donor? How does the recipient go through the process of choosing me?
So the recipient would come to us looking for egg donors, or their doctor would refer them to us, and we would show them the available donors, or the donors on our database. Egg donation is anonymous in South Africa, so the recipient doesn't know who you are. They have no identifying details about you, and you don't know who they are. I should also say that it's governed by the National Health Act, and we are also registered with SASREG, which is an ethical body that has regulations and guidelines on egg donation in South Africa. So the recipient chooses you understanding that you are an anonymous donor. That said, as I touched on earlier, they are able to view a profile on you, which is made up of childhood photos of yourself up until the age of 10. So we're allowed to show them toddler pictures so that they have an idea of what you look like, because they're typically a recipient is typically trying to match themselves to a donor who has similar features to them. So things like eye color, hair color, height, body build, and that sort of thing are important. What's also interesting to recipients are your interests. So are you a ballerina, or are you more of a bookworm, or do you enjoy hiking? Are you athletic, or are you not? Things like that. Recipients are basically trying to match themselves to a donor who fits in with who they are, because some of those things are, some of the features that I've mentioned are or can be passed on genetically. So those are the things that come up in the selection of a donor. And of course, because I get to know the donors throughout the process, I can also assist a recipient in terms of, Jane would be a good fit for you because, she comes across as this and you come across similar, and the like. So the process of your application form is it's an opportunity for us to, in the absence of the recipient knowing who you are and meeting you, it's connect the dots and painting a picture of who you are as a donor. Yeah, and I must say it's quite fun to fill in the form. Donors find it very interesting because you are asked questions that you never think of, and it's nice to see yourself on paper.
Yeah, I suppose it's a little bit of a learning process to get to know yourself as well.
Yeah.
Things that you haven't thought of before or that you might have forgotten about.
Yes.
Okay, Kinny, you did mention that that it is anonymous in South Africa. How do the recipients know which donor, like which profile is belonging to which donor? They don't get my name, surely. So how are they marked? Or
yes, so the recipient has no identifying information on you at all. They don't know your first name or anything like that. And this is also stipulated by the National Health Act that it be anonymous. So how they know you is you are assigned a special alias like Jane 1 or whatever the alias may be to the agency. And the only people who know your alias and your name are the clinic and the egg donation agency. So your recipient, when conversing with your recipient, we converse using your alias. And obviously when we converse with you, we use your name.
okay.
Yeah, so you will never know your alias and they will never know your name.
Okay, great. That makes sense. All right. And then sorry to go back with regards to completing of the profile and all of that. I know you mentioned that the recipients often want to match themselves in the donor or to find similar traits. What if the recipient is super qualified and, a high-flying member of society in terms of education, and I haven't had the financial capability to further my studies? Am I at a disadvantage in that aspect, or?
That's a great question. First of all, our requirement is that you at least have a grade 12 or matric. The information and the process of donating needs you to understand the instructions that you are given by the doctor, and that you're able to follow them. And it's very simple information, but it is important that you at least have a grade 12 as a benchmark. As far as educational background, not everyone has had the opportunity to go to university or college, as you've said, especially in our society in South Africa. That is certainly the case. There is also a growing trend internationally of people not going to university, and there is a lot of research around that. Some people go to vocational school or Tibet colleges instead of finishing the traditional university route. So that doesn't disadvantage you. The other thing to note is that having a university degree is not exactly a sign of intelligence. There are other ways to measure intelligence, and I think many would argue that they're the same. So you don't need to have an MBA to be an egg donor, and the recipients themselves are, as much as the process is anonymous and you don't get to meet your recipient, it's important that you realize that the recipient is a real person. So just like you and I are. So the recipient themselves might not have an MBA or a university education. And even if they do, they would be understanding of the fact that not everybody is able to afford or be in a position to have a university education. So that's something to keep in mind.
Okay, all right, thanks for clarifying that. And so also just forming part of the process of who can donate, there's a question that came through on Facebook now. I'm sterilized, can I still donate? And I'm sure with regards to the sterilization process, it's just the tying of the tube. So you can just confirm whether, if she still falls within the age range, that she could still donate?
Yes.
Okay.
So if her ovaries are healthy and she fulfills all of our other requirements in terms of BMI and general health, then she can donate.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, so I've been chosen as a donor.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next?
So once you've been chosen, assuming that I've contacted you to tell you the happy news, you would come in to see the doctor for a screening, which involves a transvaginal ultrasound scan. It's a scan it's a small probe that's inserted inside the vagina to have a look at your ovaries and your uterus to make sure that there aren't any growths and that your ovaries are functioning well, as far as the doctor can see. So you do that scan. It's a very quick scan. It's similar to one that you would have in the early, in fact, it's the very same one you would have in the very early stages of a pregnancy. So it's painless and simple. So you would do that and have a general consultation with the doctor. Then you would meet the nursing sister, which would be you, Sister Cindy, to go through the injection instructions, which is basically a profile of how to take your injections and show you how to use your injections. And you take the injections for about 10 days. And in the 10 days, you would need to come into the clinic for about 3 scans. Just to check on the progression of your eggs and follicles. So before you actually start the injections, you would have the schedule of the injections or injection instructions, and also have your treatment dates on when you should stop the pill if you are already on the oral contraceptive pill, and when to expect your period, and when to actually start the injections. So that appointment with the nursing sister is to go through that, so you know what to expect. Then you would also, at that same appointment, go for a blood test and urine test as well. The blood test is for infectious diseases, so things like hepatitis and HIV and a few others. And we also screen for one genetic condition called cystic fibrosis. So we check to see if you are a carrier of that gene. So that would be the first step of what happens as you come into the clinic for that appointment with the doctor and one of the nursing sisters.
Okay. So yes, I'd also just like to add input just on my side. When I do meet with the donors and the instructions are given, it is important that we make sure that you understand the process in terms of what needs to be done when, because as you can imagine, your recipient has chosen you and is relying on you to follow through the instructions as best you can, because at the end of the day, they would like a good outcome. So that part is very important. And you will be taking daily injections. And it's also important that you understand how to take those injections. And that's what I'm here for, is if you don't understand, we go through the process again and again until you're comfortable with how to take the medication. Yeah, and then, okay, so Kinny, you mentioned the blood test that we go for. If one of the blood tests come back positive, what happens?
So if you come back positive, if it's something that can be treated, well, whether or not it can be treated, you would come in to see the doctor to get your results. Obviously, testing positive for something is unpleasant, but it is always a positive thing to know your status, whether it's good news or bad news. So just take heart in that at least you are finding out, because you wouldn't have otherwise found out if you weren't donating. So you would meet with the doctor. He or she would explain what your results mean and what your options are in terms of treatment. And depending on what the condition is, you would be treated for it. Like if it's an STD that can be treated or that you can recover from, like say chlamydia, the doctor would give you a script, a prescription for medication to treat it. Then if there was time for us to see you through the treatment that the doctors prescribed and for you to be retested, then and then still continue with the donation program, then we would do that. But if there wasn't time for us to wait for you to still be treated, or if you can't donate because the whatever you have been found positive for, like HIV, for instance, we would refer you on to a doctor, your GP, or another specialist, or your local clinic for treatment for something like HIV or management of it. So you wouldn't be able to donate in that case.
Okay. All right. And so this process sounds quite expensive in terms of I need to come and see the doctor, I need to take medications, I need to go for tests of various sorts. Do I need to pay for any of that?
No. So your recipient covers all the treatment costs. You as a donor don't pay for anything. Your job is to get yourself to the appointments and be available for the process and follow the doctor's instructions and guidance. That said, it is an expensive process that your recipient commits to. And like I said in the earlier part of our conversation, the average time that a recipient has been going through a fertility journey is about 3 to 5 years, and to be honest, sometimes even longer than that. So that would be years of expense. Just looking at the financial aspect of it only. Obviously, there are other aspects that are probably more important, like the emotional and psychological impact of going through fertility treatment. But since the question is talking about finance, it is an expensive process. So it's important that you are integrous as a donor of the process, and that you are committed once you have agreed to do the donation, that you are really committed to doing it and assisting the recipient. And with the keeping in mind that they are regular people like you and me, and that finances are a reality. So that's something to keep in mind, that although you don't pay for anything as a donor, there is a very real person on the other side who does pay for all your treatments.
Okay. And I know we mentioned previously that doing a donation is a very much a selfless act. But in saying that, we all know life is expensive. Do I get paid for being a donor, or do I get paid for giving my egg?
So egg donation is semi-voluntary. It is a donation. In South Africa, donors are not paid for their eggs, and donors don't sell their eggs. You are, however, compensated for your time and your efforts as a donor. And the compensation for that is 7,000 Rand. And that is guided by legislation as well as the ethical body that I referred to earlier, SASREG, which oversees how donors are compensated for their donation efforts. So you receive 7,000 Rand each time you donate. The money is not taxed. It is paid into your bank account once you do your egg retrieval, and it's up to you what you do with that money.
Okay, all right, fantastic. And you mentioned that it's 7,000 Rand for the donation. Am I able to donate more than once? And if so, do I get 7,000 Rand each time?
I'm sorry, Cindy, what was the last part of the question?
No, I just said if I am able to donate more than once, do I get paid each time?
Yes, so you can donate more than once. Most of our donors donate more than once. There is, however, a limit on the number of pregnancies that can be created from your pregnancies. By law, a donor can only create 6 pregnancies or 6 children born from her donations. And so each time, so if, for example, you end up donating 6 times, or you will receive 7,000 Rand each time you donate. But the limit is on the number of children that can be born from your donations, which is 6.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I've been chosen as the donor. I've seen the nurse and gotten my treatment plan. I've seen the doctor. I've started my injections. So now we're ready to collect the eggs from me. How does that process work? Is there any cutting involved? Do they need to cut the eggs out, or how does that work?
No, so it's a very simple process. The eggs are retrieved transvaginally using a small needle that is guided by an ultrasound. It's painless, and you'll be fast asleep or under sedation while the doctor is retrieving the eggs. And that process is called an ovum pickup or egg retrieval. And the procedure itself is about 15 to 20 minutes. And as I said, you'll be under sedation whilst it's being done. So you won't feel anything, and it's very quick, and there is no cutting. It's not a grand operation. It's very simple, and so I can't even say thousands upon thousands have been done in South Africa. It's probably in the hundreds of thousands at this stage. Yeah. Okay.
And so just another question on the Facebook comments about the same lady who asked about the sterilization. She asked whether her tubes will be untied during this process. So I can just answer that and say no. So the tubes won't be untied because we're not cutting anywhere to get to the eggs. Okay, Kinny. So removing of the egg sounds like quite a hectic process, even though there's no cutting involved. But is it painful at all?
No. So you are under sedation, so you'll be fast asleep. So you won't feel the needle prick that the doctor goes through the vaginal wall into the ovaries to retrieve the eggs, because you'll be fast asleep. But when you wake up, some people have period pain like cramping, and some people don't. It just differs from person to person. It can also be affected by the number of eggs that are retrieved. But really, it isn't anything more than heavy period pains. But if you are in any discomfort, the doctor will give you medication, or one of the theatre nursing sisters will give you some pain medication.
Okay, great. And then I do get medication to take back home.
Yes.
If I need to take it. All right. Okay.
Yes.
And all right. So, what should I avoid whilst I'm donating is another question on the WhatsApp line.
Okay. So whilst you are donating, you will be very fertile, particularly when you are on the medication or on injections. You'll be very fertile. So it's important that you not fall pregnant, because if you do, there is a risk of having a multiple pregnancy, which would obviously not have been your plan. So make sure that you use condoms if you are sexually active, or that you abstain for the 10 to 14 days that you are on the medication and after your egg retrieval, until you get your period again. So that is the biggest thing to avoid, is to avoid falling pregnant. And the best way to avoid falling pregnant is to either use condoms well, and also you can abstain. Otherwise, there is no grand change that you need to make to your life, because you, as a donor, you probably are already following a healthy lifestyle, not smoking and drinking minimally, drinking alcohol minimally, and just live a life during the time that you are donating. Be healthy, and sleep well, eat well, and just be healthy. But you don't have to make any drastic changes to your lifestyle and your diet and exercise plan. So you just treat your body gently, and be kind to yourself, and embrace the beautiful process that you are participating in as a donor.
Great. All right. And Kinny, would you say, or how would you say, from start to finish, how long does the process take?
So I'm so glad someone asked that, because I was just thinking of saying that you're at the clinic. You probably have you have about 5 to 7 appointments with the clinic. Your first appointment is the screening appointment that we spoke about earlier, where you see the doctor for a scan and the nursing sister for your injection schedule, and also go for your blood test. So that's your first appointment. Then you have 3 scan appointments that happen probably a month later. You'll have a scan every second day. There'll be 3 of those scans to check the progression of your eggs or your follicles. Then 2 days after your last scan, you'll likely have your egg retrieval. There's a chance that you might need a 4th scan before your egg retrieval, but the average is about 3. So that's a total of 5 visits, but I've said 5 to 7 in total because you might need an extra appointment here and there. So as far as how long the process takes, those 5 to 7 appointments happen. They don't all happen on top of each other. The first appointment happens very early in the process after you've been chosen to donate. You and your recipient will fill in paperwork on both ends. They'll send us their paperwork and probably have doctor's visits and so on. And we will be getting together your file with the clinic. So a few weeks after I've officially confirmed that you have been chosen to donate, you will come into the clinic for your first appointment. Then we might need to wait a couple of weeks or maybe 2 months sometimes before the actual donation process starts, because maybe your recipient wants to come in a certain month, or for various reasons your donation can be planned to happen in a month or 2. And sometimes we are synchronizing your menstrual cycle with that of your recipients. So you generally know 2 to 3 months before you donate that you are going to donate. So your first appointment may, for instance, happen now in August. Then your actual donation process will start in October, and that donation process lasts about 10 days. 10 to 14 days. And in that 10 to 14 days, you will come for 3 scan appointments and the egg retrieval.
Okay, great. Right. And Kinny, you mentioned, coming in for all the scans. As we are based in Cape Town at HART Fertility, what if the donor is not from Cape Town?
That's perfectly fine. We have lots of donors who are based around the country. So we'd obviously know that upfront that you live in a different city. You would need to come here for between 4 and 10 days. It depends on what your doctor requires. For your first donation, you would probably need to be here for about 8 days, because we would want to see you for all of your scans and for you to just come in a little earlier. But I would budget as a kind of rule of thumb that you would need to come to Cape Town for 8 days. We would cover your accommodation and flights and your travel expenses, and put you up at a nice place close to the clinic, and make sure that you're properly looked after whilst you're here. So okay. Yes, we welcome donors who are based all over the country.
Okay, great. Right. And then another question on the WhatsApp line is, I'm breastfeeding, can I donate?
So you need to wait at least 6 months after giving birth before you can donate. And our doctors recommend or require 2 consecutive periods before you can donate.
After I've stopped breastfeeding.
Yeah, but it's beautiful hearing that a new mom is thinking about donating. It's always special getting those inquiries, because she's obviously experienced the joy of motherhood and wants to share it with someone else. That's beautiful.
It is very special.
Yeah.
Okay, so once I've donated my eggs to my recipient, do I get to meet my recipient?
No, in South Africa, the process is anonymous. So you won't meet your recipient and they won't meet you, obviously. So no, you won't meet your recipient.
Okay, great. Okay. And would I know what happens to my eggs after I've donated them?
Yes, if you'd like to know, we can tell you if there was, we can tell you the number of eggs that were retrieved, and we can also tell you if the pregnancy test was positive or negative.
Okay, great. And then, Kinny, there's another question on the Facebook comment section just about, and if you can't answer it, we'll definitely pass it on to one of our doctors. But she says she's on the depot injection and she had her first shot in June. How long should she wait before she could donate her eggs?
So it differs from doctor to doctor. Some doctors don't want you to be on the Depo-Vera at all, or on the injectable contraceptive at all. Some doctors are okay with you being on the injection, and some doctors will require you to not be on, to wait until your period arrives before you can donate again. So it differs from doctor to doctor, but that shouldn't prevent you from signing up with us. We will note it on your profile, and when a recipient approaches us asking if you can donate to them, we will check in with their doctor on what their requirement is. It's a very simple thing for us to do. So the short answer is it depends on who the treating doctor is. Yes, but please don't let it stop you from donating.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm just double checking. I don't think there's any more questions on the comment section. And yeah, WhatsApp also seems clear. So Kinny, I just want to say thank you so much for giving up your time to chat with us today and just providing so much valuable information to our potential donors out there, or even our current donors. And it's just lovely hearing the ins and outs from your side. Yeah, so could you just explain quickly, just as we end off, how does one sign up to be a donor? So if I've watched this video and I'm super keen to get started, who should I contact and how should I contact them?
Yeah. So we'll have our contact details at the end of this video for those that aren't seeing it on Facebook. Our WhatsApp line is on the description of this live, so you can contact us. That's probably the easiest and quickest way to contact us, is through the WhatsApp line. You can also DM us, and we will have our other social media handles. You can contact us on Instagram. We'll have our other contact details in the comments of this live later on today. So please do contact us, even if it's to just ask questions. One of the things that I love about egg donation is the opportunity to educate people. So even if you are unsure about whether or not you fulfill the requirements, please do still contact us, because we love to, even if you may not donate yourself, you can still spread the word and tell other people about it. And we're very passionate about information and educating everyone that egg donation exists. And it's such a a wonderful gift to give someone. It's very empowering to be a donor because you have the opportunity to own your body in a way that other experiences don't allow you to. And it's a truly a special gift. It's unlike anything else that you can give someone. And part of what makes it special is, in fact, the anonymity. There's no gratification in knowing who you're helping. It's just the special ephemeral gift that you are giving to another person who has a deep, heartfelt desire for something precious. And I'm constantly in awe of what egg donors do.
Yeah, they are very, very special people, and definitely.
But so thanks so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully, I mean, there's so much more we can talk about, and hopefully we can do this again soon. And if anyone has any questions or different topics you'd like us to cover on egg donation or our other treatments, please let us know, because we're here for you.
Yes. And just to add to that, for the egg donors, if they want further information, they can also follow our August month in terms of our socials. Just we're providing a little bit of education on several questions that were asked, and just providing some medical info on the ins and outs of the process.
Yes, and I believe we'll be doing sperm donation sometime in the next few months. So if you're interested in sperm donation, or you've got friends and brothers and so on who are interested in becoming sperm donors, you can contact us for that as well.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Kinny, and have a wonderful day further.
You too, Cindy. Bye, everyone.